Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the discussions that shape our understanding of the world. Today we're going to explore a fascinating and wide-ranging conversation between two iconic figures, Joe Rogan, the podcast legend, and Shawn Ryan, former Navy SEAL and CIA contractor. Together, they tackle some of the most pressing issues of our time, from government cover-ups to corporate manipulation and the fragile state of our national infrastructure. You don't want to miss this.
Joe Rogan is no stranger to hosting some of the most compelling conversations in the podcast world. And this time, he teams up with Shawn Ryan, a man who's seen the inner workings of government and the intelligence community firsthand. This episode covers everything from UFOs and government cover-ups to how major corporations are affecting our health and well-being. Let's get into it.
First up, Rogan and Ryan dive into the mysterious world of UFOs. For decades, the government has kept its lips sealed on what they know about unidentified flying objects. Recently, we've seen more transparency, yet the big question remains, what are they hiding? Shawn Ryan shares his experiences with top-secret military operations, explaining how the government controls information in ways that keep even the insiders in the dark.
Shawn talks about the compartmentalization within the intelligence community. Essentially, nobody has the full picture. Each person is given just enough information to do their job. The reality is, even the highest-ranking officials rarely know the full extent of what's going on. Ryan reveals how he saw this firsthand, especially during classified missions.
During this conversation, Rogan brings up Eric Hecker, a whistleblower who claims the government is operating direct energy weapons in Antarctica. These are advanced technologies that can be used for anything from weather manipulation to warfare. While this may sound like a sci-fi movie plot, Rogan and Ryan's exchange makes you wonder, how much is hidden from the public?
Ryan acknowledges the possibility that such weapons exist and emphasizes the incredible secrecy around government projects in remote locations like Antarctica. As we continue to learn more about classified operations, the question becomes, what else are we in the dark about?
One of the major themes that runs through this episode is the idea of compartmentalization. Imagine an entire system where only a handful of people understand the full scope of what's happening. Everyone else just follows orders without knowing the broader picture.
Ryan shares stories from his own time in the military, explaining how information was deliberately fragmented so that no single individual could blow the whistle or expose the full truth.
Rogan and Ryan discuss how this model is effective for national security, but also terrifying for democracy. When information is so tightly controlled, who can we really trust? This structure makes it incredibly easy for governments and organizations to hide wrongdoing, not just from the public, but from their own employees. Next, the conversation shifts toward a topic that impacts every single one of us: the food and pharmaceutical industries. Rogan and Ryan talk about the massive corruption within these sectors, where profit is valued over public health. They discuss everything from harmful food additives to the underhanded ways pharmaceutical companies manipulate the system.
Rogan has been vocal about the toxic nature of our food supply for years, but in this episode, he digs into the deeper connection between Big Pharma, the FDA, and the CDC. Shawn Ryan shares shocking examples of how these organizations work together, not for the benefit of public health, but to maximize profit.
Whether it's about keeping harmful food additives in circulation or pushing drugs with dangerous side effects, the truth is clear: corporate interests are dictating our health. Did you know that many of the ingredients in everyday foods in the United States are banned in other countries? That's right. Chemicals like red dye, which are used to make products look more appealing, are harmful and have been linked to serious health issues, but they're still in the food we eat every day. Glyphosate, a pesticide used in farming, is another substance wreaking havoc on our bodies, but corporate influence keeps it on the shelves.
One of the most alarming parts of this conversation is how deep the pharmaceutical industry's influence runs. Ryan and Rogan expose the revolving door between regulatory agencies like the FDA and pharmaceutical companies. People who work for the FDA often transition to cushy jobs within the very companies they were supposed to regulate. This creates an environment where drugs are pushed through the approval process without sufficient testing, leading to recalls and serious health consequences down the line.
Free speech has never been more threatened than it is today. During the pandemic, we saw social media platforms censor anyone who questioned the official narrative. Rogan and Ryan discuss the chilling effect this has on society. When people are afraid to speak their minds or question authority, we lose one of the most fundamental rights in a democratic society.
Shawn Ryan speaks about his experience with censorship and how platforms are increasingly working with governments to suppress dissent. The question becomes, where does this end? If we're not allowed to question major issues like public health, the economy, or government policies, then who controls the narrative?
Perhaps the most urgent issue discussed in this episode is the vulnerability of our power grid. Shawn Ryan warns that America's infrastructure is incredibly fragile. With the ever-growing threat of cyber attacks, the United States could easily face a catastrophic power outage that would bring the country to its knees.
According to Ryan, China already has access to critical parts of our infrastructure. If they chose to exploit this, we could be looking at mass blackouts, disrupted water systems, and widespread panic. It's a chilling reminder of how unprepared we are for a large-scale disaster.
Another major topic of discussion is the state of America's immigration system. Ryan recounts his experiences at the border, revealing just how broken the system is. He talks about how organized groups are taking advantage of legal loopholes to overwhelm the system, creating a crisis not only at the border but throughout the country.
This isn't just about illegal immigration, it's about national security and how foreign actors may be using our weakened system to infiltrate the country. With so many vulnerabilities, it's time we take a hard look at reforming our immigration policies. This conversation between Joe Rogan and Shawn Ryan has given us so much to think about, from the dark underbelly of government secrecy to the dangers of our modern infrastructure. The issues they've raised are not only relevant, but urgent, and it's clear we need to take these discussions seriously. If this video resonated with you, or if you're interested in a guaranteed way to fix the problems we've discussed today, drop a comment below. Let's start a conversation about the change we want to see. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more in-depth content like this. Thank you for joining us. Stay informed, stay engaged, and until next time, take care.